From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang. Here are today's Palace top stories. The National Food Authority or NFA Council, chaired by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., set on Monday a new palay or unhusked rice buying price to improve farmers' income. According to the President, the buying price of dry palay was increased to 23 pesos from 19 pesos, while wet palay will be from 16 pesos to 19 pesos to give Filipino farmers a better income. The NFA said the originally proposed 20 pesos and 25 pesos buying prices are too high and will spike retail prices, noting that the new decided price range balances the profit of farmers and will not affect the retail prices as much. The agency said if the new buying price of dry palay is at 23 pesos, the procurement fund needed will be 15 billion pesos at the maximum, while if it is pegged at 25 pesos, 16 billion pesos will be needed for palay procurement. To ensure that the imported rice will not enter the market, since it should not only serve as a buffer, NFA said that based on its earlier discussion, the buffer is only for the poor. It also promised to supply poor households and take that out of the demand side of the market so that it can put less pressure on the price in the market. The NFA is also looking at providing physical rice stock instead of cash assistance. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture DA said it would support the NFA proposal but only at a level of 23 pesos a kilo. Asked by the President on the influence of NFA's buying price as well as the public reaction, National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said at the farm gate level, NFA procurement will be concentrated in areas where there is excess supply relative to local demand. The government is ramping up efforts to make rice prices more affordable. In a separate Viber message, Finance Secretary Benjamin Jokno said the Executive Department is discussing at the highest level the proposal to reduce import tariffs on rice as part of a comprehensive strategy to reduce prices for consumers and mitigate a potential shortage of the staple due to the impact of the El Nino phenomenon. Secretary Jokno earlier proposed the reduction of 35% rice import tariff rates. Both Association of Southeast Asian Nations and FNN or Most Favored Nation rates temporarily to 0% or a maximum of 10% to arrest the surge in rice prices.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday led the distribution of around 1,500 sacks of premium quality rice to various beneficiaries of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program or 4-piece during his visit to the National Food Authority or NFA Region 9 warehouse in Zamboanga City. In his speech, President Marcos assured the Filipino people that the government and his administration are working tirelessly to put an end to the smuggling activities of some erring individuals, which is hurting the agricultural sector in the Philippines. President Marcos said he has already instructed the Bureau of Customs or BOC to run after smugglers and ensure that their illegal operations will be busted. The President also stood firm that the government is following laws when confiscating smuggled items, giving them a 15-day notice to hear their side of the story. The rice distributed was part of the 42,180 smuggled sacks of rice worth 42 million pesos forfeited by the Bureau of Customs Port of Zamboanga or BOC-POZ during its warehouse raid in Barangay San Jose Gusu, Zamboanga City on September 15, 2023. This will be turned over to the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD for distribution of it or to its beneficiaries in the region. The move is in compliance with President Marcos Jr.'s marching orders to go after hoarders and illegal importers of rice, to which the BOC-POZ vows to continue monitoring smuggling in all forms. During the program, President Marcos Jr. also led the distribution of various assistance from the Department of Agriculture or DA, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources or BIFAR, and Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE to intended beneficiaries. Let's listen to the speech of President Marcos during the event.
Ito po, ay nakita po ninyo, ito po lahat ay kaya't namin na pamimigay ay dahil, alam nyo po, ang inuuna ko sa lahat ng ginagawa ng gobyerno, ang inuuna ko talaga ay ang agrikultura. Kaya't pagpatuloy natin na may sapat tayo na pagkain para sa buong Pilipinas at bukod pa doon ay kailangan ay kayang bilhin at hindi masyadong mahal, kayang bilhin ng ating mga kababayan. Kaya pinapaganda natin ang sektor ng agrikultura. Pinapaganda natin ang ating produksyon, pinapaganda natin ang cost of production, tinutulungan natin ang mga magsasaka upang pagandahin ang kanilang ani. Ngunit hindi lamang yan ang kailangan gawin para maging maganda ang presyo ng bigas. At kasama na diyan ay kailangan natin higpitan ang pagbantay sa mga illegal na imported o smuggled na bigas. Kasi po, ang nangyayari po, itong mga smuggled na bigas, yung may-ari niyan, hindi po nila ipagbibili yan. Mag-aantayan, iipitin nila yung supply hanggang tumaas ang presyo. Yun yung nakikita natin, kaya nagtaasan ang presyo ng bigas dahil yan ang kanilang ginagawa. Kaya sabi ko sa ating mga kasama sa customs, ko sa kanila, kailangan higpitan ninyo ng mabuti at huwag kayong papayag na may pumapasok na smuggled na bigas. Ngayon, ito ang mga nahuli ng ating customs. Nakita nila, inimbestigahan nila na mabuti at nakita nila na mayroong ganitong klase. Ang lahat-lahat dito sa nahuli dito ay 42,120 bags. Tama ba yun? Yes, 42,100 bags ng ganito. Kaya sabi namin, may proseso. Ginawa namin ang proseso. Ang proseso na ganito ay sasabihin, doon sa nagpasok, magpaliwanag kayo. Saan galing yan? Saan kayo nagbayad ng taripa? Saan kayo nagbayad ng tax ninyo? Saan kayo lahat ng mga pangangailangan dokumento? Natapos na po ang 15 days, hindi po sila makasagot. Kaya kinuha na ng gobyerno, kinuha na ng customs at ginawang donation sa DSWD at gagawing donation ng DSWD at ng gobyerno sa inyo. Ito po, meron pong, dahil nandito tayo sa NFA, itong napag-usapan, the mayor mentioned na meron tayong ginawang price cap dahil masyadong mabilis ang pagtaas ng presyo ng bigas, sabi namin hindi na kaya ng tao. Kaya pinalitan natin, linagyan natin ng price cap, sinabi natin sa lahat, huwag kayong bibili, yung mga konsumo, sabi ko huwag kayong bibili ng lampas doon sa price cap dahil hindi sila dapat nagbebenta ng lampas sa price cap. So yun. Ngayon nag-aalala ang mga magsasaka. Paano naman kami? Dahil kung mataas ang price cap, mababa rin ang benta namin ng aming palay. Kaya nagkakaproblema kami dahil ang NFA bumibili lamang, ang authorized lang sila bumili 19 pesos. Sabi ko, nung nakikita ko, sabi ko, baka mahirapan ng kumita yung mga magsasaka. Kaya kahapon lamang ay pinalitan natin at ginawa natin ang pagbili ng NFA 16 pesos to 19 pesos para sa wet na palay at 19 pesos hanggang 24 para sa dry na palay. Kaya tataasan natin ng pambili para sa mga farmer. Yun ang aming talaga naman tayo nakikita natin. Hindi lang po kasi dito sa Pilipinas yan. Ang nangyayari, nag-aabang ang mga iba't ibang bansa sa Asia sa darating na El Nino sa susunod na ilang buwan. Kaya nakikita na namin na pagdating ng El Nino, medyo nagtagtuyot, hindi maganda masyado ang magiging ani dahil hindi umuulan ng sapat. Kaya lahat ng mga iba't ibang bansa sa Asia ay tinitiyak na meron silang reserve, meron silang buffer stock. At kaya't naghahabulan, kaya't nagtaasan ng presyo dahil lahat, ang Indonesia bumibili, ang China bumibili, tayo bumibili, Thailand bumibili, Singapore, lahat bumibili. Kaya't sabay-sabay silang bumibili, sabay-sabay sumasabay din ang pag-akyat ng bigas. Kaya't kailangan natin lagyan nga ng price cap. Kaya't yan po ang ating ginagawa. Yan ay lagi natin tinitignan na hindi lamang dahil lagi natin napapag-usapan dapat pagandahin ang production ng mga magsasaka. At lagi kong pinapaalala sa lahat ng mga kasamahan ko, hindi lamang na kailangan na may sapat na pagkain, ay kailangan may presyo na kayang bilhin ng taong bayan, unang-una. Pangalawa, na may magandang hanap buhay naman ang mga magsasaka. Kaya yan ang tinitiyak natin. At titignan po natin, habang tumatakbo ang panahon, titignan po natin na paano na ang magiging mga pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan para naman ay hindi natin masasabi na ginutom na ang mga Pilipino dahil hindi sapat ang bigas. Nandito po, nakikita po ninyo. Ito yung mga nahuli. Ito po yung mga iba na kakabili lang ng NFA. Itong season na ito. Kaya makikita ninyo, pupunuin nila itong warehouse. Dadagdagan natin, gagawin natin mas malaki ang buffer stock para medyo hindi na natin dapat makita ang biglang pagtaas ng mga presyo. Kaya maraming salamat po sa inyong pagsalubong sa akin dito. Ako ay nag-inspeksyon lamang at makita talaga kung ano ba ang nangyayari, hindi lamang doon sa NCR, sa Manila, kung hindi pati na rito, sa kabilang dulo naman ng Pilipinas, dito sa Zamboanga, para naman makita natin na lahat ng ating mga kababayan ay nasusuportahan at kung sino man ang nangangailangan ng tulong, ay nabibigyan ng tulong. Ayan po ang inyong pamahalaan. Ito yung gobyerno po ninyo. Andito po kami lahat at ginagawa po namin lahat upang makatulong na maging maganda ang inyong mga buhay. Kahit tayo ay dumadaan sa kahirapan, ay nandito pa rin ang gobyerno ninyo upang tumulong. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
Dateline Malacañang.
The proposed budget of the Presidential Communications Office or PCO is to be presented to the Senate plenary after passing the deliberation by the Senate Committee on Finances Subcommittee presided over by Senator J.V. Ejercito on Monday. The PCO, including its attached agencies, is requesting 1.192 or 921 billion pesos for its various programs and continuing modernization. Expressing his full support for the PCO's proposed 2024 budget, Senator Ejercito emphasized the very important role of the agency in bringing the government closer to the people. Under its proposed budget in the National Expenditure Program, the PCO proper is requesting 495.768 million pesos, 479.485 million pesos for Radio Television Malacañang, 378.914 million pesos for the Philippine Information Agency, 147.036 million pesos for the News and Information Bureau, 13 million pesos for the National Printing Office, 95.638 million pesos for the Bureau of Communication Services, 482.011 million pesos for the Philippine Broadcasting Service, and a government subsidy for the People's Television Network worth 128.914 million pesos for its modernization. PCO Secretary Chelo Garafil admitted to the sub-panel that the agency's transition from the Office of the Press Secretary was challenging considering the larger scope of mandates and manpower, but likewise gave the office the advantage. Executive Order Number 16, issued by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in February this year, reorganized the PCO, giving it 5 functional areas, each headed by an undersecretary. These functional areas are traditional media and external affairs, content production, broadcast production, digital media services, and operations, administration, and finance. Meanwhile, Senator Ejercito expressed his support for the PCO campaign against disinformation, emphasizing the necessity for the agency and its attached agencies to be well equipped to counter the proliferation of false and misleading information. The senator said the agency should be given more teeth and should be provided with necessary tools to help combat fake news. Secretary Garafil said the agency has been focusing and working with other government agencies to address the problem. Last month, the PCO launched the Media Information and Literacy or MIL campaign led by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. together with the Departments of the Interior and Local Government, Social Welfare and Development, Education, and the Commission on Higher Education. During the budget deliberation, PCO Undersecretary for Digital Media Services Emerald Anridao said the MIL campaign is a result of a survey saying 9 out of 10 Filipinos feel affected by misinformation and disinformation. She said they will proceed engaging with other sectors such as the senior citizens in the following years. Apart from government agencies, the PCO also partnered with social media companies for the campaign's wider reach. The agency is looking forward to an additional 16 million peso budget in 2024 for the MIL campaign.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. honored the dedication and commitment of the 1.8 million government workforce as the nation observes the 123rd Philippine Civil Service anniversary this September. In a video message, the chief executive expressed his gratitude to all civil servants who work tirelessly with excellence and integrity to deliver quality service that all Filipinos deserve despite the numerous challenges in the performance of their respective public service mandates. He also called on every lingkod bayan to strive harder in achieving the united goal of providing a better future for our country. The President also congratulated the Civil Service Commission or CSC, which is tasked to spearhead the month-long PCSA. The Civil Service Commission or CSC spearheads the celebration pursuant to Presidential Proclamation number 1050, series of 1997, declaring the month of September as Civil Service Month. This is to commemorate the establishment of the Philippine Civil Service by virtue of Public Law Number 5 or an act for the establishment and maintenance of an efficient and honest civil service in the Philippine Islands on September 19, 1900. In 2021, the CSC introduced a 10-year overarching theme, Transforming Public Service in the Next Decade, honing agile and future-ready servant heroes, reflecting the collective experience of the government workforce in the new normal and in pushing for digital transformation and innovations to uphold public service excellence and continuity. Here's a video message from President Marcos on the commemoration of the 123rd Philippine Civil Service Anniversary.
It is an honor to greet the 1.8 million strong government workforce, our public servants, mga kapwa kong lingkod bayan sa lahat ng sangay ng pamahalaan, a meaningful and joyous 123rd Philippine Civil Service Anniversary. Today, we not only commemorate the anniversary of the Civil Service Commission, but also honor the dedication and commitment of all individuals who serve in the government. We celebrate this nationwide event every September to commemorate the establishment of the Philippine Civil Service by virtue of Public Law Number 5 of 19 September 1900. We look back to the past 123 years to recount the colossal progress made by those who served the nation before us. And we also look ahead to anticipate and prepare for the future of public service. I would like to express my gratitude to all civil servants who work tirelessly and with excellence and integrity to deliver the quality service that all Filipinos deserve. Thank you for your dedication. Despite the numerous challenges that we experience in our respective occupations, let us strive harder in achieving our united goal of providing a better future for our country. My appreciation also goes to the CSC for the steadfast commitment in continuously transforming the human resource and organization of the Philippine bureaucracy. In this way, we will hone agile and future-ready servant heroes. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagpapagal. Muli, Mabuhay ang bawat lingkod bayan, mabuhay ang buong serbisyong sibil.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Civil Service Commission, or CSC, on Monday encouraged civil servants to participate in the nationwide blood drive from September 19 to 21 to help increase blood reserves as part of the 123rd Philippine Civil Service Anniversary, or PCSA. The bloodletting activity themed Dugtong Buhay, Handog ng Lingkod Bayan is organized by the CSC in partnership with the Department of Health, Philippine Blood Center, or PBC, and SM Supermalls to highlight the third week of the Civil Service Month. In the National Capital Region, or NCR, the blood drive will be held at the CSC Resource Center in Batasan Hills, Quezon City, at the PBC Building on Quezon Avenue, Quezon City, and at SM Mall of Asia Music Hall, Seaside Boulevard, Pasay City on September 19, 20, and 21 respectively. Meanwhile, CSC regional offices will hold the blood drive at predetermined venues on the third week of September from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. CSC Human Resource Relations Office Director 4 Maria Teresa Fernandez said donating blood helps burn 650 calories per pint of blood donated and helps lower the risk of cancer by reducing iron content in the body. She also noted that donating blood helps keep the heart healthy by lowering blood viscosity and reducing friction on arteries and blood vessels. Government employees participating in the bloodletting activity shall be deemed unofficial business on the scheduled dates. Qualified donors will be entitled to a one-day compensatory time off pursuant to CSC Department of Budget and Management Joint Circular No. 2, Series of 2004.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, on Monday received 10 new motorcycles from the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, in support of the MMDA's new Riding Academy. During a press conference at the new MMDA building in Pasig City, MMDA Chair Don Artes thanked DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos for the donation and emphasized its significance in improving riding skills and lessening the number of road traffic accidents. Secretary Abalos said the Academy's goal of making roads safer by teaching necessary riding and emergency response skills should be replicated in local government units, or LGUs. According to the MMDA Metro Manila Accident Reporting and Analysis System, there were 2,269 pedestrians who were hit by vehicles from January to August of this year, compared to 3,161 last year. The Academy is set to open on September 27 and is located at a vacant property of the Government Service Insurance System, or GSIS, along Julia Vargas Avenue, corner Meralco Avenue, Pasig City. Aside from educating riders, the Academy also hopes to increase the public's awareness of road hazards to reduce the growing number of road crash victims.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Agrarian Reform, or DAR, is set to establish condemnation quick response centers in all its offices nationwide to attend to the concerns of agrarian reform beneficiaries, or ARBs. In a public briefing on Monday, DAR Secretary Conrado Estrella III said he would sign a special order, or SO, on the creation of the quick response centers. He said agrarian reform lawyers will be assigned to the quick response centers to help process the application of ARBs for the condonation of debt and amortization under the Republic Act, or RA 11953, or the New Agrarian Emancipation Act, or NAEA. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. signed the NAEA, which condones all loans, including interests, penalties, and surcharges incurred by ARBs from land awarded to them, into law on July 9, 2023. Last September 12, DAR presented to the President the Laws Implementing Rules and Regulations, or IRR. The IRR provides procedures to accelerate the processes of condonation of the agrarian debt and the payment by the government of unpaid just compensation to landowners for lands acquired under the Voluntary Land Transfer or the Direct Payment Scheme, or VLT DPS. About 610,054 ARBs are expected to benefit from the law, which President Marcos said would help the government attain its bid for food security. The condonation covers an estimated 1.173 million hectares of land with an estimated 57.55 billion pesos in unpaid amortizations. RA 11953 also terminates the payment of 206.247 million pesos in unpaid just compensation to the landowners by 10,201 ARB stealing 11,531 hectares of land acquired through the VLT DPS. Additional benefits for ARBs include exemption from payment of estate tax and mandatory inclusion in the registry system of basic sectors in agriculture to give them easy access to support services of the Department of Agriculture. The law also orders the outright condonation of the principal loan of 14.5 billion pesos, including interests, penalties, and surcharges of the 263,622 ARB stealing some 409,206 hectares of agrarian reform lands. The condonation of the remaining 43.057 billion pesos in unpaid debt of 346,432 ARB stealing 763,894.66 hectares of agrarian reform lands will be completed within 3 years from July 24, 2023 or the date of the effectivity of RA 11953.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BIFAR, on Monday said it aims to further boost the country's fisheries sector to contribute to economic growth. BIFAR Director Demosthenes Escoto said this during the launch of the 60th Fish Conservation Week at the agency's central office in Quezon City. Escoto said this year's celebration, which carries the theme Masaganang Pangisdaan, Maunlad na Ekonomiya, is anchored on President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s push for the protection and conservation of the country's natural resources to achieve food security and sustainability. The BIFAR chief also introduced activities aimed at increasing the sector's productivity. One of this, Escoto said, is the Bantay Dagat Insurance Program, designed to provide essential medical aid and death benefits to qualified city and municipal fisheries and aquatic resources management council, or CMFARMC, law enforcement officers. The BIFAR launched the program in partnership with the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation to recognize the contributions of Bantay Dagat, whose safety and lives are at risk in safeguarding coastal communities from illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing activities. It also launched fish recipes, lutuing isda ng mga mangingisda, an information campaign aimed at promoting fish recipes crafted by fish farmers, fisherfolk, and cooperatives across the country. This celebration coincided with Maritime and Archipelagic Nation Awareness Month, where BIFAR employees dressed in aquatic animals and seafood costumes participated in dance and culinary competitions. Escoto said the celebration of the 60th Fish Conservation Week would culminate with the launch of Philippine Fisheries and Coastal Resiliency, or FishCorp project at the Philippine International Convention Center in Pasay City on Friday. FishCorp is a 7-year project aimed at enhancing the management of fisheries resources within Fisheries Management Areas 6 and 9, spanning 11 regions and 24 provinces. It also seeks to bolster fish production and contribute to national economic growth through sustainable fishing practices. Before we also announced on Friday the grand winner of Malinis at Masaganang Karagatan, the National Search for Outstanding Coastal Community, an annual competition which encourages local government units to adopt comprehensive policies for the protection and management of their aquatic resources while recognizing communities that excel in coastal resource management practices. The grand winner was selected for its exceptional dedication to coastal conservation, taking into account 5 criteria, which are prohibition of illegal fishing practices, effective solid waste management program, successful implementation of a closed fishing season, protection of mangroves, and preservation of marine protected areas. Individuals and organizations that have made substantial contributions to the protection and advancement of the fisheries sector will also be recognized at the parangal sa mga kabalikat sa pangisdaan, gawad pagkilala at pasasalamat. Various activities will also be held throughout the celebration to engage the public in discussions about fisheries conservation and responsible aquatic resource management.
Dateline Malacañang.
Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA has raised serious concern over reports of coral destruction at the Roslul Reef within the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ, calling for a halt to activities damaging marine life. In a statement Monday night, the DFA said the Philippines has consistently raised the alarm over ecological harmful activities of foreign vessels in the country's maritime zones, an issue extensively discussed in the 2016 Arbitral Award on the South China Sea. The award was issued by the Hague-based Permanent Court of Arbitration in July 12, 2016 and authoritatively ruled that China's claim of historic rights to resources within the Nine-Dash Line had no basis in law. It also upheld the Philippine sovereign rights and jurisdiction in its EEZ. The DFA called on everyone concerned to act responsibly and cease all activities that can damage the Philippines' precious marine environment, saying the well-being of millions of people who depend on the South China Sea for their livelihood is at stake. Citing results of its underwater surveys, the Philippine Coast Guard or PCG earlier confirmed the extensive damage on the seabed of Roslul Reef and Escoda Shoal, areas frequented by Chinese maritime militia in the West Philippine Sea. PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, described the marine ecosystem in those areas as lifeless with minimal to no signs of life. A video released by the PCG shows the presence of crushed corals, which Tariela said strongly suggested a potential act of dumping, possibly involving the same dead corals that were previously processed and cleaned before being returned to the seabed.
Dateline Malacañang.
Official of the Department of Health or DOH said the majority or 87% of leptospirosis cases nationwide reported from January 1 to September 2 are males. DOH Epidemiology Bureau Director Alethea de Guzman said individuals belonging to the older age groups are affected by leptospirosis, specifically those who are 20 to 49 years old or those who go out to work. She said about 14% of cases have farming-related occupations, almost 8% are laborers, 6% are students, nearly 4% are drivers, and 2% have fishing-related jobs. As of September 2, the DOH has logged a total of 3,728 cases of leptospirosis nationwide, 70% higher than the record cases for the same period last year. De Guzman said the increase in cases started in middle of July along with the entry of a number of storms in the country. She added most of the exposures of the cases in the recent 4 weeks are flood-related with 427 cases and agriculture-related with 56 cases. 6 out of the 17 regions in the country show an increase in cases. These are the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM, National Capital Region, Ilocos Region, Region 4A Calabarzon, Central Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao, and Davao Region. The case fatality rate or CFR in these regions is also higher than the 11% national rate. The CFR for the BARM is 14.29%, 11.24% in NCR, 16.22% in Ilocos Region, 13.88% in Region 4A Calabarzon, 11.11% in Central Visayas, 11.54% in Zamboanga Peninsula, 14.89% in Northern Mindanao, and 15.71% in Davao Region.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Energy or DOE said it is collaborating closely with the country's aviation sector and international partners for the use of sustainable aviation fuel or SAF. In a statement on Monday, the DOE said SAF is an environmentally sustainable and chemically identical alternative to fossil fuel-based aviation fuel. The DOE said in the Philippines, one potential feedstock for SAF is coconut oil or CNO, which is also used for biodiesel production. DOE Undersecretary Alessandro Sales said this alternative fuel source derived from renewable feedstock holds the potential to lower greenhouse gas emission or GHG while ensuring the highest safety and performance standards. According to the DOE, another initiative that aims to decarbonize the commercial aviation industry is the Carbon Offsetting and Reduction Scheme for International Aviation or CORSIA. CORSIA, which was established by the International Civil Aviation Organization or ICAO, offers a harmonized way to reduce emissions from international aviation. It allows the use of SAF derived from biomass or waste resources to reduce the carbon offsetting requirements of airlines. Under the CORSIA's timetable, participating ICAO member states, which include the Philippines, are mandated to comply with the CO2 offsetting requirements by 2024 to 2026, while the mandatory compliance was set for 2027 to 2035. In February this year, a stakeholders meeting was held among the DOE, CAAP, Philippine National Oil Company or PNOC, and the European Aviation Safety Agency or EASA to discuss the potential advantage of exploring SAF in the country in preparation for CORSIA's compliance by 2027. EASA has also prepared a proposal for the SAF readiness evaluation for the Philippines, which is expected to be completed by the end of the year.
Dateline Malacañang. Dateline Malacañang.
And that concludes today's edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Win Peñano. Good day.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.